I had a car accident on my way to get a divorce. When I woke up, I remembered everyone except her. When my sister complained that Li Jiran, as my girlfriend, hadn't come to visit me in the hospital, she heard me ask in confusion who the Li Jiran she mentioned was. My sister froze on the spot. What do you mean? You don't know who Li Jiran is? Seeing me even more confused and shaking my head, my sister suddenly jumped up from her chair, frantically ringing the bell by the bed. 10 minutes later, after the doctor's examination, although there was no major physical injury, the hippocampus was damaged and a segment of memory was lost. My sister turned to look at me, and after a long pause, she blurted out, "How old are you this year?" 23. You could even forget that? My sister was shocked again, because she realized my memory had actually regressed by 2 years. But the next second, she had a sudden realization. Isn't this the perfect opportunity to save her own brother? Then she coughed and warned me with a serious look. The Li Jiran I just mentioned is a scumbag, the kind of person who is rotten to the core. If you ever see her in the future, stay as far away from her as possible. Got it. Although I didn't quite understand, I nodded blankly anyway. A few days later, I was finally discharged. My sister took me back to the Li family home. Although I had been away from home for 2 years, my memory had coincidentally regressed by 2 years, so I remembered nothing. As soon as I got out of the car, I ran inside familiarly and saw my mother watering flowers in the garden. I hugged her from behind. "Mom, I'm back. I'm home. Why didn't you come to see me these past few days?" My mom had already heard from my sister about my amnesia, so my mom, who usually disliked going out, had come to the garden early in the morning. But her thoughts were never on the flowers in front of her. The servant beside her kept calling out, "Madam, that's enough. Any more and you'll drown the flowers." Now that I had hugged her like this, my mom's eyes immediately welled up. She stroked my head. "Your sister didn't tell me. Be good. Your favorite desserts are waiting for you inside." I answered happily and immediately rushed through the villa doors. My mom looked at my retreating back with complicated feelings. After a while, she turned aside and her tone turned cold. "Erase Awan's medical records. Don't let Li Jiran find him. It's best if they never meet again in this lifetime." Understood. Now my brother finally doesn't have to have any connection with that scumbag woman. He has returned to his position as the eldest young master of the Li family. The towering Li Corporation building. Inside the CEO's office on the 66th floor, there was dead silence. The air seemed to freeze, almost making it impossible to breathe. Li Jiran looked up at the assistant standing before her. Her tone was calm and her gaze was cold, yet she somehow gave off a chilling vibe. "Are you saying that after all this time, you haven't found anything?" The assistant didn't dare to breathe loudly, sweat dripping from his forehead in nervousness. "Yes. It's as if he vanished into thin air." Li Jiran narrowed her eyes. "Do you think a person can just vanish into thin air?" The assistant didn't dare respond anymore, because he hadn't found a single piece of information about me. "Keep searching." The assistant retreated, wiping away cold sweat. Li Jiran felt inexplicably irritable. She stood up and picked up the suit jacket hanging to the side. Going home. The villa was equally silent. Li Jiran vaguely remembered that whenever she occasionally returned, there would always be warm yellow lights in the hall, and I would always be curled up on the sofa waiting for her. But now it was complete darkness. Li Jiran reached out and turned on the lights, and as the light suddenly flared up, she closed her eyes uncomfortably for a moment. Then she opened her eyes to see an empty room. No one would be waiting for her anymore, to take her jacket when she took it off, or to prepare a table full of food. She raised her hand to her heart. This was the first time she felt the home was so cold. On the other side, after recovering at home for half a month, with everything served to me on a silver platter, I felt like I was starting to grow mold. My sister had almost erased all the traces, and she couldn't bear to see me like this. "Why don't you go out and have some fun?" My eyes lit up, and I immediately called my buddy. Huanan Feng was shocked when he got my call. "What made you think of calling me?" At that moment, I was sitting in a rocking chair in my garden, crossing my legs and soaking up the sun. "Calling you out to play." Huanan Feng found it even stranger, although we've kept in touch often these past 2 years. I never took the initiative to ask him out. I'd say I had to stay home and cook for Li Jiran and such. Anyway, I couldn't go 3 sentences without mentioning that woman. Huanan Feng asked tentatively, "Want to go?" To his surprise, I readily agreed. Huanan Feng was waiting for me at the bar entrance. Soon, a black Maybach pulled up in front of him. I stepped out of the car dressed in hip-hop attire. Seeing Huanan Feng at the door, I slid down my sunglasses with a finger and smiled at him. "I'm here." Huanan Feng froze on the spot. "Did Awan take the wrong medicine?" "Aren't you?" Playing the role of the devoted family man for that woman? This outfit today is clearly for picking up beauties. You actually came out today. You're home. What about my home? My sister urged me to come out and have fun. Oh right, I forgot to tell you. I got hit by a car and damaged my head. I lost 2 years of memory. Bai Ningbing's wide eyes showed disbelief. No wonder. He suddenly had an epiphany. This is the perfect chance to forget that scum woman, Li Jiran. What a great thing. He immediately threw an arm around my shoulder, almost setting off firecrackers in joy. Brothers happy today. We walked into the bar. The drum kit on stage was unattended, making it seem somewhat quiet. Huanan Feng raised an eyebrow and looked at me. Want to play a set? I'm going to dance. He paused before leaving. Still remember how to play, right? I smirked and snapped my fingers. Watch closely. Li Jiran saw this scene the moment she stepped into the bar. On stage, I looked carefree and elegant. I played the drums in front of me with familiarity. My whole being exuded a soaring pride. Li Jiran's steps came to an abrupt halt. The people beside her saw her expression turn ice cold and followed her gaze. They were so shocked they started stuttering. Isn't that brother-in-law? Li Jiran's gaze was cold and distant. She had been looking for me for several days. She didn't expect to meet again in a place like this. Seeing Li Jiran walking toward the booth with a cold face, someone followed her and asked, Sister Jiran, aren't you going to find brother-in-law? He is not your brother-in-law. And her cold gaze landed on me. I want to see what he's trying to do today. Then the two of them sat down in the booth. Li Jiran continued to gaze at my carefree self, feeling that I on stage was a stranger. For 2 years, I had always been unremarkable in front of her. But now, as I played the drums, my expression was more vivid than she had ever seen. Li Jiran suddenly tilted her head back and downed a glass of wine. Meanwhile, after finishing the drum set, I received a round of applause. I smiled and looked around. Huanan Feng was dancing closely with a woman. He probably couldn't be bothered with me. I stood up and stepped off the stage. Someone nearby called out softly. I didn't know if they were calling me, but I turned to look anyway. There was too much flirtatiousness in her gaze, which made me uncomfortable. I subconsciously frowned. Miss, is there something you need? Feng Xiu studied me for a while. You look familiar. Miss, this pickup line is too cliché. Feng Xiu didn't respond. She knit her pretty brows and suddenly clapped her hands. I remember who you are now. You're the kid from Mu Yan's family, right? You know my sister? Feng Xiu stepped forward and familiarly grabbed my arm, leading me to a private room. I'm Feng Xiu, your sister's plastic bestie. You don't recognize me? I'm not very used to being touched by others. I frowned awkwardly and brushed her hand away. Even if you're my sister's friend, don't get touchy-feely. Oh, quite the arrogant personality. Come have a drink with big sister. I wanted to refuse before I could react. Feng Xiu had already led me into the private room. I was a bit wary. The next second, I saw Feng Xiu call over 2 male models, one on each side, hugging her left and right. I looked at her coldly. Is my sister like this too? Feng Xiu heard me finally speak. She waved the 2 handsome guys to leave first. Resting her elbows on her knees, she raised an eyebrow at me. Want to know? She patted the seat beside her. My face immediately darkened. I stood up and looked down at her. If you keep acting like this, I'm leaving. Feng Xiu chuckled and shrugged. Okay, I was wrong. I'll stop, alright? I don't know if your sister has someone in her heart or what. Anyway, Feng Xiu hadn't said 2 serious words when suddenly the door to the private room was flung open. I was quite startled, almost blurting out a curse. Feng Xiu also frowned, looking displeased. Who are you? Standing at the door was a woman with delicate features, but her expression was so cold it could almost freeze. Li Jiran walked in and stopped right in front of me. Her red lips were pressed tight. You've got some nerve. No word from you for all these days. Is she talking to me? Do I know her? Li Jiran lifted her cold gaze, glancing over Feng Xiu, a hint of sarcasm flashing in her eyes. Didn't expect you to be fooling around here. I immediately flared up. Who is this person coming in here with such an attitude? The problem is, I don't know her. Feng Xiu frowned deeply and remained silent. So, the powerful eldest daughter of the Li family, and this younger brother of my best friend's family. What connection could they have? Li Jiran's tone annoyed me. My expression also turned cold. Miss, do I know you? Did your mother ever teach you to be polite when you're out? As soon as I finished speaking, Feng Xiu, who had been watching the drama, suddenly burst out laughing. Li Jiran's expression grew even colder. She didn't expect me to speak to her like that. Suppressing her immense rage, she stepped forward and gripped my wrist tightly. Come with me. I was truly pissed off now. Are you crazy? Li Jiran stopped abruptly. She looked sideways, scanning me up and down with a cold, indifferent gaze. Nice act. For a moment, I was speechless, staring at Li Jiran. Then, Feng Xiu, who had been silent, spoke up. Miss Li, it seems you're hurting my brother.
Li Ziran cüret herlip.
Her words made no sense. Is that so, Miss Feng? Are you also interested in a man like this? I forcefully shook off Li Jiran. Are you speaking in riddles? So many metaphors. Who are you to judge others? Seeing the situation about to spiral out of control, Feng Xiu quickly stood up, pulling me toward her.
Li Ziran.
Did you hear? He doesn't know you. I rolled my eyes at Li Jiran. So she is Li Jiran. I couldn't help but recall my sister's words. Without thinking, I asked, are you that cheating woman? Li Jiran found it unbelievable that I could say this. I raised an eyebrow, seeing Li Jiran's face grow darker and darker. I gave her a fake smile. There's no need to treat me this way. I really don't know you. I was in a car accident before. I have amnesia.
Li Ziran frowned.
She didn't believe it at first, but remembering how different I was from before, she seemed to believe it. Her gaze was a cold probe, and I faced it calmly. Soon, Li Jiran composed herself. Amnesia is even better. Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to get a divorce. A dead silence fell over the room. I was silent for a long while, pointing at myself stiffly and in disbelief. Me? Who else? Her? This her obviously referred to Feng Xiu. Feng Xiu immediately scoffed. I felt like a bolt of lightning hit me. I actually got married in the last 2 years? With my heart racing, I tentatively asked, do we have children? Li Jiran didn't answer. She only gave me a cold, slightly mocking look. Then I realized we probably didn't have kids. I also realized this marriage wasn't very happy. I don't know how I spent the last 2 years, but my current memory is still of the old me, spoiled rotten by the Li family, fearing nothing in the world. Sometimes when I'm furious, I even scold my sister, let alone this woman who hasn't looked at me kindly since we met. My expression turned sour too. Not good at all. I'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce tomorrow. Then I looked over with a straight and calm gaze. Better if not. I'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce tomorrow. Then I looked over with a straight and calm gaze. I agreed. You're free to go now. Li Jiran's gaze grew even colder. I hope you keep your promise. Then she turned and left without a hint of regret. I was still thinking. Feng Xiu spoke. I couldn't tell that you were actually married. You'll be a bachelor again in no time. Miss Feng, I'll take my leave now. I walked out of the private room and took a deep breath. Putting today's events behind me, I called Huanan Feng to get his location. When I found Huanan Feng, he was boldly gulping down liquor. I waved my hand at him. Get up. Huanan Feng stood up, swaying unsteadily. You're leaving already? I stepped forward to support him, gritting my teeth. Why didn't you tell me that I was married? I thought you knew. Didn't your sister tell you? I cursed Li Mayan in my heart again, telling me Li Jiran is a scum woman, yet not telling me that I was married to a scum woman. Huanan Feng was heavily drunk. I took him straight back to the Li residence. As soon as we entered, we saw Li Mayan with a grim expression, sitting on the sofa with her legs crossed. Hearing the noise, she looked up. So you actually know how to come back. She looked up and froze when she saw Huanan Feng being supported by me. Why is he here too? Out of breath, I tossed Huanan Feng onto the sofa. Huanan Feng's body bumped into Li Mayan. He couldn't help but frown. Li Mayan's body stiffened. She stiffly extended a finger, pushing Huanan Feng's head to the side. I went to the table, poured a large glass of water, and gulped it down, while ordering Li Mayan, help Nan Feng to the guest room. Before she could even speak, I suddenly turned around, my eyes filled with a cold intensity. I haven't settled the score with you yet. She immediately shut her mouth. She turned and kicked the tip of Huanan Feng's foot. Can you stand up? Huanan Feng didn't respond. With his eyes half closed, he looked like he was about to pass out. Li Mayan stood before him, looking down at him for a long while. Finally, she let out a deep sigh and helped him into the room. I stood there stunned. After a while, I snapped back to my senses, touched my chin and chuckled. It seems that during these 2 years of my amnesia, something happened between these two. I also went back to my room. After showering and lying on the bed, just as I was about to sleep, I suddenly remembered my previous phone. I got a new phone after the car accident. I hadn't thrown the old one away. It was just kept in the room's drawer. I got out of bed and fished out that phone. I opened the photo album and looked, my gaze fixed on the last photo, a photo of a man and Li Jiran embracing. I was instantly furious. She really is a scum woman. To think she cheated during the marriage. The next morning, I woke up early and headed straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Li Jiran was also on time. You're actually on time today. Stop talking nonsense. Let's just get this over with. After saying that, I walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau on my own. Li Jiran looked at my back and frowned slightly. She had her assistant check last night, but no hospital had any record of my treatment. They couldn't even find information about the car accident. She paused there for a long time. Finally, ignoring that anomaly, she stepped forward. The divorce procedures were handled quickly. Shortly after, we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. I looked at the divorce certificate in my hand, speechless. While I was still reflecting,
Li Jiran suddenly spoke coldly.
"Go back later and pack your things." Her commanding tone seemed like a habit, but I subconsciously frowned. "Just throw it all away. I don't care for them." Li Jiran's expression shifted, and she was about to speak when a gentle male voice was suddenly heard. "Siren." Li Jiran and I turned our heads at the same time. A man wearing a light blue shirt was walking toward us. As he approached, he gently put his arm around Li Jiran's shoulder. "Then let's go." Li Jiran's expression softened visibly. I watched in silence from the side, seeing He Xiangning by the woman's side. How shameless. I spoke softly. The two of them didn't hear what I said, but their attention was drawn to me. He Xiangning let go of Li Jiran and walked up to me. "Brother Yuan, I heard you lost your memory." "Yes." The smile on He Xiangning's face deepened. He stepped forward and whispered in my ear, "But she's still mine." After speaking, he straightened up as if nothing had happened. "You two enjoy your romance in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. I'm leaving." After saying that, I turned and left. Having not worked for 2 years, I had to return to my former workplace to ask if they were still hiring. Entering the building, someone I knew greeted me as soon as they saw me. "Li Xingyuan, you're back." I nodded with a smile. Upon hearing that I wanted to rejoin, the boss was very happy. "That's great. We happen to be hiring right now, and as you know, very few people apply for this job." "Of course it's few. After all, you need a lot of guts to be an entry examiner." "Can I complete the onboarding process now?" "Of course. I'm just worried colleagues might gossip." "I'm not afraid. I believe that with my professional abilities, this gossip will disappear in no time." So I went ahead and completed the onboarding. The boss assigned a new office to me. I spent the afternoon organizing my things. While walking back to the office with a pile of books, I saw the honor roll on the wall, and I was prominently listed. I looked up at the photo, at my younger, more naive self, couldn't help but smile. By the time I finished organizing, it was already getting late. I stretched tiredly. I picked up my suit jacket and draped it over my arm. I walked out leisurely. A sleek, black Bugatti was parked by the roadside. I glanced at it casually. I looked away. Just as I was walking past, I heard a respectful call from the side. "Sir." There was no one else around. This "sir" could only be referring to me. I frowned. I saw a man looking at me with a smile. "Sir, the young lady has something to discuss with you. She hopes you will return to the family estate with her today." The car window slowly rolled down. The woman's flawless profile appeared before me. She looked at me with cold eyes, as if she wasn't asking me for a favor. I felt a bit mischievous. "First, don't call me sir. If there's something, have your lady come out and tell me herself." The assistant was suddenly at a loss, just as he turned to say something to Li Jiran. She had already opened the door and stepped out. Li Jiran looked up at me. "You've become quite arrogant now." I glanced at her with a slight smirk. Just as I was about to speak, Li Jiran continued, "But this isn't me asking you for a favor. It's Grandma who wants you to visit her." Seeing my confusion, she added calmly, "Grandma is old. I haven't told her we're divorced. She likes you very much." "Fine, I'll go. Have your assistant drive my car away. Otherwise, I won't be able to get to work tomorrow." Li Jiran narrowed her eyes. I didn't believe she would refuse. Sure enough, Li Jiran gestured with her chin to the assistant. A smirk played on my lips. I pulled out the keys and tossed them to the assistant. "White Range Rover." Then I opened the rear door of the Bugatti. I leaned down and got in. The assistant held the keys.
Li Jiran.
"Let's go." Li Jiran was expressionless. Her tone was flat. Then I poked my head out and gave the assistant an address. Of course, I wasn't stupid enough to give her the Li family address. I only gave the address of my own small apartment. After saying that, I raised my eyebrows at Li Jiran. Then the window slowly rolled up, and my profile disappeared from view. Li Jiran let out a light chuckle. She sat in the driver's seat. I crossed my legs, feeling relaxed. Along the way, Li Jiran gave me a brief overview of what I used to have to do when visiting the Li family. It was incredibly tedious to listen to. I know, anyone can be filial to their elders. Li Jiran was truly afraid I'd blow my cover. After all, the current me and the old me are worlds apart. However, When she saw me with a soft smile, running up to her grandmother and calling her grandma affectionately, she realized she had overthought it. I made the old lady laugh. She couldn't hide how much she liked me. Yuan, you haven't visited me in so long. Do you not miss this old lady anymore? How could that be? Grandma, I've just been too busy lately. The old lady gave me a light flick on the forehead. Some freshly cut fruit. Go have some. Dinner won't be ready for a while. All right. Just as I reached out, I heard a displeased voice from the side, sharp and laced with sarcasm. Eating without washing your hands first. Who taught you such bad habits? I withdrew my hand and turned around. A noblewoman slowly walked down the stairs, her eyes full of dissatisfaction and disgust for me. Then I realized the one in the family who disliked me and forced me to resign was likely the woman before me. Mom, having guessed her identity, I simply nodded to her, then said to Grandma with a smile, Grandma, I'll go wash my hands first. Li Jiran stared at my back as I walked to the restroom for a few moments. She thought I would snap at her mother the way I did to her. Although Madame Li disliked me greatly, she did it for Grandma Li's sake. At this moment, she simply said coldly, Isn't washing your hands the right thing to do? When I returned after washing my hands, I acted as if Madame Li didn't exist. I spent the whole time chatting with Grandma Li. Shortly after, the servants called us for dinner. I helped Grandma Li down. I glanced at the dishes on the table, and my smile faded slightly. I love spicy food, but the spread before me was so bland it was completely unappetizing. I took a few bites and put down my chopsticks. Li Jiran frowned, noticing I wasn't eating much, but she didn't say anything. However, Grandma Li spoke up, Yuan, why aren't you eating? Didn't you used to love this? My heart sank, and I felt a bit of a headache. I really don't know what I did for this woman in the past, to what extent I went. Facing a table of food I didn't like, could I really praise it and say it tasted great? I guess I was the definition of love brain. I probably acted the part too well before, so it would be awkward to contradict it now. I just smiled. I'm not very hungry today, Grandma. After dinner, Li Jiran and I prepared to leave. Grandma Li was very reluctant to see us go. Yuan, you are my chosen granddaughter-in-law. If you're ever mistreated, you must tell me. Grandma will settle things for you. If she wrongs you, that brat won't end up well. Be sure to tell me. Grandma will settle things for you. If she wrongs you, that brat won't end up well. Having lived most of her life, she could see through the dynamics of her descendants at a glance. Some things simply cannot be faked. I didn't say much, just smiled and agreed. All right, Grandma. Jiran is very good to me. I'll come visit you often. Just as we were about to step out the door, Madame Li, walking up from the side, suddenly called out to Li Jiran, Stay behind. I have something to tell you. Before Li Jiran could answer, I had already spoken. Then I'll be going first. Perhaps thinking her mother really had something important to discuss with her, Li Jiran had to give up the idea of leaving and told me, I'll have the driver take you home. I didn't glance at Madame Li once. After I left, Madame Li immediately called Li Jiran back to the room. Out of sight of others, she no longer suppressed her hatred for me. She's truly become even more impolite today. I wonder what kind of upbringing she had. Li Jiran frowned almost imperceptibly. Mom, is there something you wanted to tell me? Madame Li didn't pursue the topic any further, gave her a cold look, turned and slammed the phone in front of her. This is what I just saw. Take a look. Li Jiran picked it up and looked. Her brow immediately furrowed. Several photos were from that day at the bar. Photos of me and Feng Xiu. Some were taken from a misleading angle, making us look very intimate. Li Jiran gripped the phone tightly. Mom, with the photos right here, you're telling me it's a misunderstanding. Seeing her about to say more, Li Jiran flipped the phone face down on the table. Mom, actually, we've already divorced. Mrs. Li was stunned for a few seconds. Then she couldn't help but be overjoyed. Divorced? When did this happen? A few days ago, receiving a satisfying answer, Mrs. Li stopped obsessing over the photos. Li Jiran didn't actually care much about the photos either. Until the next day, the matter suddenly trended. Netizens' malicious comments were like a tide, all flooding toward me without exception. Li Mayan usually browses her phone during breakfast. Today was no different. Holding a coffee cup in one hand, taking a sip, scrolling through her phone with the other. Suddenly she saw this news. Shocked, she almost spat out her coffee. She immediately called Feng Xiu. What's going on between you and my brother? Even rabbits don't eat the grass near their burrow. You've got some nerve. Feng Xiu was a bit confused, but when she saw the photos online, she understood everything. She curled her lips. Haven't touched him yet. Who knows if I will in the future? Li Mayan immediately scolded her severely. If you dare touch my brother, I won't let you off. Feng Xiu smiled indifferently, suddenly remembering something. Before hanging up, she casually mentioned, I didn't expect your brother to have been married, and I certainly didn't expect his wife to be Li Jiran. Li Mayan was stunned for a moment. How do you know? Feng Xiu gave a lazy yawn. Ran into her that day. Then she hung up. Li Mayan rushed straight to my room. I slowly opened my eyes. What's wrong? Li Mayan thrust the phone right in front of my eyes. See for yourself. I woke up instantly. The more I looked, the darker my expression became. By the end, I was almost exploding with rage. Who posted this? Li Mayan's gaze was also cold. Don't know who posted it, but it's clearly targeting you. Don't worry about this. I'll handle it. Hearing this, I looked at the phone, raised my eyes, my gaze calm to the extreme. No need, I can handle it myself. Seeing me so certain, Li Mayan had to nod. Come to me if you can't fix it. I'm your sister. She walked out of the room, but turned back to warn me uneasily. That girl Feng Xiu isn't a good person either. I smiled, then got up to wash up, brushing my teeth while planning my move. The phone rang again. It was a call from my boss. He sounded quite frazzled. Maybe don't come to work for a while. The entrance to the office is blocked. After a pause, he asked, those photos online aren't real, are they? I was silent for a few seconds before answering. The boss was also silent for a few seconds, not knowing how to respond. Finally, he could only say, anyway, don't go out for a few days. Lay low for a while. I'll handle it. Sorry for the trouble. Hung up the phone. I looked up at myself in the mirror. My expression was cold, my gaze as calm as a lake. I didn't expect Li Jiran to be so ruthless, just to marry that man as soon as possible. She actually threw this filth on me. Since that's the case, then I won't be polite either. After washing up, I went downstairs for breakfast as usual. I was almost too calm. Even Li Mayan found it a bit strange. Until that afternoon, I opened the old phone I had looked through and sent a picture. After a while, the message went out. Currently, I and Li Jiran, CEO of Li Group, are divorced. The person in the photo is my sister's friend. Any intimate contact was a misunderstanding. Please be informed. A few pictures were attached. A formal divorce agreement, a divorce certificate, and finally, an intimate photo of Li Jiran and He Suning. Online opinions shifted rapidly. Meanwhile, another Weibo post caught everyone's attention. The brother is also miserable. To be slandered like this by you all. Although these words were quite provocative, it was clearly stating that nothing actually happened between Xing Tian and me. Li Jiran also saw those two Weibo posts. She also noticed the completely black profile picture and the empty profile page where everything had been deleted. The only pinned post was to clarify the relationship. The intimate photo of her and He Suning also openly told everyone the reason for our divorce. Li Jiran's lips tightened into a straight line. Suddenly, she felt a tightness in her chest. Just then, the assistant rushed in, looking frazzled.
President Li.
The partnership we just agreed upon. The other party suddenly withdrew their investment. Li Group stock has also been falling. Li Jiran's expression turned cold. Has the PR department stepped in yet? They are all on duty. Everyone in the company is doing their best to save the situation. But Li Jiran was clearly becoming irritable. She wanted to say something more when the office door was pushed open again. Mrs. Li walked in her high heels. Her face looked extremely grim. She slammed her bag onto the table. That Li Xingyuan, not a shred of affection left, pushing the Li Group into the eye of the storm. There's a circle of reporters downstairs at the Li Group. Since when do I have to sneak around and hide from people? He's making us do this.
Li Ziran.
You're still pleading for a man like that? Hurry up and make him delete that Weibo post. Mom, I wasn't aware of that photo. Recalling He Suning's previous tricks, Li Jiran's expression grew even colder. Mrs. Li obviously realized what was happening, and her tone immediately changed. You're still trying to explain for He Suning? Suning only took the photos because she loves you too much.
Li Ziran coldly interrupta Mrs. Li.
Mom, the assistant, holding the phone and trembling, said, we can't seem to contact Mr. Li. Li Jiran's expression became even worse. Instead, Mrs. Li grew angry again. What is his actual status? Did he marry you with ulterior motives? Just then, Huanan Feng called me. First, he gave Li Jiran a piece of his mind, and then said, your sister invited me and Feng Xiu for dinner tonight to celebrate your great victory. I'll send the address to your phone right away. I went to the address. Li Mayan and Huanan Feng had already arrived. Huanan Feng is impatient. After waiting a while, he asked, why isn't Feng Xiu here yet? I was still grateful to Feng Xiu for speaking up for me online. So I just said casually, maybe she got delayed by something. Let's wait a bit longer. However, after a long time, Feng Xiu still didn't show up. I started to feel that something was wrong. Sis, why don't you give her a call and ask? Li Mayan dialed Feng Xiu's number. It rang for a long time before she answered. On the other end, I don't know what Feng Xiu said, but Li Mayan's expression immediately turned cold. After hanging up, I asked, what happened? Li Mayan stood up, put on her coat and walked out quickly. To the hospital. Feng Xiu's brother was in a car accident. The next second, Huanan Feng also stood up, grabbing the still confused me and rushing out. The Feng family is a bit complicated. I'll tell you on the way. In the car, Li Mayan was driving, and Huanan Feng gave me a general overview of the Feng family's situation. The Feng family is very strange. They've disliked Feng Xiu since she was a child. Huanan Feng gave me a general overview of the Feng family's situation. The Feng family is very strange. They've disliked Feng Xiu since she was a child. After her brother was born, everyone viewed him as the heir, perhaps because the adults were too biased when they were young. Feng Xiu also never really liked her brother. Moreover, Feng Xiu's father has been ill recently, and they've been arguing over the issue of the heir. Now that Feng Xiu's brother has been in an accident, it's not a good sign. When we arrived at the hospital, the in-surgery sign was still glowing red. Feng Xiu sat outside, her hands clasped together on her knees. Xiu, what happened? How did your brother get into a car accident? After a few seconds of silence, Feng Xiu spoke. He borrowed my car to go wild, and had an accident. As soon as she said this, our hearts skipped a beat. Then the 3 red lights of in-surgery went out. The doctor came out, took off his mask, and shook his head. We did our best. Everyone's expression changed drastically, especially Feng Xiu, whose face turned pale. I don't know how the Feng family acted when they arrived later, because I was called into the body restoration room. This was my first assignment after returning to work, and it was Feng Xiu's brother. I performed the task meticulously. By the time I finished, he looked almost no different from when he was alive. Some thought that because I hadn't worked for 2 years. My colleagues, thinking my skills had declined, began to gossip. The next time I saw Feng Xiu was at the cemetery. The Feng family was wailing in a heap. Only Feng Xiu stood aside in black, expressionless. Her mother wept heartbrokenly, almost fainting from grief. After crying, she lunged at Feng Xiu, hitting her punch after punch. He was your brother. Feng Xiu swayed but remained silent. Her eyes held a bone-chilling coldness and disappointment. Her father came despite being ill. He looked very weak, but looking at the emotionless Feng Xiu, he was overcome by impulse and slapped her hard. You wretched girl, you even harmed your own brother. You are truly heartless. The cause of the accident was later found to be brake failure. Everyone believed Feng Xiu did it. Feng Xiu didn't move, taking the slap head-on. Her eyes stared fixedly at her father. I'll say it one more time. It has nothing to do with me. Her father punched her hard again. Feng Xiu's body swayed from the blow. She raised her hand to wipe the blood from her lips. I couldn't stand to watch, and the reason I succeeded so well last time was thanks to Feng Xiu's help. So I stepped forward and pulled Feng Xiu away, saying coldly to her father, "Sir, please be mindful. This is a cemetery." After saying that, I pulled Feng Xiu away. Li Mayan originally wanted to stop me, but I moved too quickly for her, so she had to walk over to Mr. Feng. My brother was spoiled since childhood. I hope you can be forgiving, uncle. Because of Feng Xiu, she didn't show much kindness to the people in that family. Mr. Feng's face turned red with anger, his chest heaving continuously, but considering my status, he waved his hand and said nothing. Meanwhile, I pulled Feng Xiu to a tree nearby, seeing her face slightly swollen. I couldn't help but frown. Why didn't you dodge when your father hit you? Feng Xiu didn't speak. I carefully examined her wound, but for some reason, I felt like someone was staring at me. I looked around. My gaze stopped not far away, on Li Jiran wearing a pitch-black dress. She was watching us, her expression extremely cold. But it wasn't just Li Jiran. He Suning was beside her, wearing a black suit, his arm around Li Jiran's waist. I gave a somewhat ironic smile. I just didn't expect He Suning to walk over in the next second. Brother Yuan, I've already explained the matter of the photos to you. It's because I love Xiran too much. I didn't intend to send them to you. He looked very guilty, his eyes lowered with a look of grievance. I looked at him coldly. After a while I curled my lips. And so what? I remember saying, whether it's my things at home or her, I don't care for any of it. I shifted my gaze to Li Jiran. Seeing her cold expression, I shrugged indifferently. I suddenly smiled. Brother, have you heard this saying? Perfect match is what lasts forever. He Suning's expression changed instantly. Then Li Jiran raised her hand and gently patted his back. He Suning felt a bit aggrieved. Siren. Li Jiran's expression was very cold. She didn't want to get involved in our conversation either. She only said to Feng Xiu, now that the Feng family business is in your hands, I look forward to your guidance. Feng Xiu's gaze turned cold. The Li and Feng families had extensive business dealings. Back when her brother was at Feng Corp, he had many frictions with Li Jiran, and Li Jiran was exceptionally cold-blooded and ruthless. Her brother suffered a lot every time he dealt with her, and now that she had actually taken over Feng Corp, internal problems were cropping up frequently, let alone external ones. If the Li family decided to do something to Feng Corp now, she would have no power to resist. Thinking of this, Feng Xiu's expression grew colder. I'm not like He Suning who only cares about romance. I also thought about it a lot and finally just said to Feng Xiu, my sister and I will both support you.
Li Ziran obviously remembered
that she didn't know who my sister was. After a brief pause, she finally said to Feng Xiu, my sister and I will both support you.
Li Ziran obviously remembered
that she didn't know who my sister was. After a brief pause, I saw Feng Xiu's expression change. She patted my head. Then thank you, little brother. Her tone couldn't have been more affectionate. I was stunned for a moment, then realized she was probably doing it to spite Li Jiran. So I just let it happen. Li Jiran watched this scene, her dark eyes turning ice cold. Just as she was about to leave with He Suning suddenly spoke to me again. Brother Yuan, it's my aunt's birthday next week. She said I could invite some friends over. I wonder if you'd do me the honor of coming? The Li family would definitely send an invitation to my house. I didn't need He Suning's invitation at all, but for now, I didn't want Li Jiran to know my identity. Plus, I wanted to see what He Suning was plotting. So I gave a fake smile and nodded. Of course. Next week arrived quickly. It was the day of Mrs. Li's birthday banquet. I didn't go with Li Mayan, but drove there by myself. I wore a low-profile black casual suit today, which gave me a very commanding presence. The moment I entered, I attracted countless gazes. The surrounding whispers reached my ears, but my expression remained unchanged. Not far away, He Suning was smiling and clinging to Mrs. Li's arm, chatting away about something. He suddenly saw that I had arrived. A flicker of coldness flashed in his eyes, but he quickly hid it and asked softly, Auntie, has Jiran not arrived yet? Not yet. She has some business to handle at the company, but she should be here soon. Learning that Li Jiran wasn't present, He Suning first breathed a sigh of relief, then looked in my direction, frowning in feigned confusion. Auntie, is that brother Yuan? Did you send him an invitation too? Mrs. Li followed his gaze, and upon seeing me, her previously happy expression immediately turned cold. Why is Li Xingyuan here? How could I possibly have sent him an invitation? Did he sneak in, without an invitation? Auntie, Mrs. Li curled her lips coldly. Suning, go ahead. Do whatever you want. I understand. As I saw He Suning walking toward me, I had just made eye contact with Li Mayan. The latter signaled me with her eyes not to cause any trouble. I shrugged, and in the blink of an eye He Suning arrived. Brother Yuan, you don't have an invitation. How did you get in? If you really wanted to come, you could have just told me. My expression was calm, with a faint cold smile on my lips. Just as I was about to speak, a hand rested on my shoulder from behind. He came with me. My invitation. Would you like to see it? I turned around to see Feng Xiu raising an eyebrow, looking at He Suning with a half smile. He Suning's expression froze for a moment. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Then, a cold voice cut through the silence. Miss Feng truly has the ability to turn the tide and save the Feng family from my grip. This week, the Li Group had put full pressure on Feng Corp. She had thought Feng Xiu was just a spoiled rich girl, but she didn't expect her to, time and again, successfully rescue the dying Feng Corp. Feng Xiu gave a fake smile. Thank you for the compliment. Li Jiran walked slowly to He Suning's side, and he immediately put his arm around her waist. I let out a cold scoff, which prompted Li Jiran to glance at me. I didn't dodge or avoid. My gaze was straight and calm. Brother Yuan, I misunderstood just now. Please forgive me. I didn't respond, because Feng Xiu had already coldly led me away. She brought me to the dining table and handed me a glass of champagne. Dealing with this kind of man, aren't you afraid of losing face? I took the champagne but didn't drink it. I still have to cause some trouble tonight, believe it or not. Feng Xiu clearly didn't care what He Suning would do. She smiled nonchalantly. Is he even a threat to you? I didn't respond. After a while, Feng Xiu went to socialize with others. Li Mayan was also talking to others. I was a bit bored, so I opened the back door and went out. The fountain in the backyard was illuminated, sparkling with shimmering light. Some guests who preferred quiet were chatting softly in the backyard. I sat by the fountain and played with my phone. I hadn't been settled for a few minutes when I saw He Suning walking over. Brother Yuan, why aren't you going back in? There's no one else here now. Just say whatever you want to say. Hearing this, the smile on He Suning's face faded. You know what I want to say. Since you're divorced, please stay away from Xiran from now on. I stood up, laughing so hard my stomach hurt. Little brother, is there something wrong with your head? He Suning's expression changed. Then he put on a pitiful look again. Brother Yuan, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have, he said as he took a step forward. Seeing his intention, a flicker of coldness passed through my eyes. I curled my lips with a hint of disdain. I shifted my body slightly. He Suning in front of me couldn't pull back his hand and leaning body in time. He fell into the fountain, creating a huge splash. He Suning let out a shout. He could almost not control his facial expression. He originally wanted me to fall in. The water in the fountain was ice cold. In an instant, it froze his face pale. People around looked over, causing He Suning with a pale face to tremble in voice. Brother Yuan, why did you push me? I watched the whole thing coldly. My expression was as indifferent as if I were watching a drama with no climax. Hearing the noise, people from inside were also drawn over. Seeing this scene, Li Jiran's face turned bone-chillingly cold. As she strode to He Suning's side, she heard him say this. Seeing Li Jiran, He Suning, pale-faced, reached out his arm to her. Li Jiran pulled him out of the ice-cold water. At the same time, she gave me a cold glare. Are you crazy? She dropped that sentence as if it were unbelievable. Then she hurriedly walked past me with He Suning. I didn't care about the pointing and whispering of the people around. I slowly walked back inside. I walked to the main control console. Mrs. Li stopped me with a grim face. What do you want to do now? Do you think this isn't embarrassing enough? I turned a deaf ear, silently connecting my phone to the computer. Mrs. Li's face darkened again. Just as she was about to step forward, Feng, who appeared out of nowhere, Siu stopped her with a smile. Auntie. Soon, He Suning finished changing his clothes and came downstairs with Li Jiran. He came to my side, looking very aggrieved. Did I do something wrong? I blinked, put my index finger to my lips and gave a soft shoo. The show is starting. Watch quietly. Then the big screen flickered. A video suddenly appeared. He Suning was stunned. Then the color drained from his face. On the screen was the scene by the fountain. He Suning trying to push someone. The entire process of him failing to stop his momentum and falling into the fountain himself. The footage was clear. At least one could clearly see that I hadn't moved a single finger. The surroundings suddenly erupted in chaos. He Suning's expression was beyond bad. Li Jiran walked over to me, lightly grabbing my hand. That's enough. I really want to ask, compared to my humble 2 years of married life, is this even enough? But before I could speak, a wave of nausea surged up. I slapped Li Jiran's hand away and let out a loud gagging sound. Seeing Li Jiran instinctively take a step back, I curled my lips mockingly. Miss Li, you'd better stay away from me. I'm allergic to cheating women. Li Jiran stared at me with a dark look. I took a breath and was about to relax when I heard Li Mayan's voice. She stepped forward and supported me. Yuan, what's wrong? Do you feel unwell? A bit nauseous, probably from looking at an ugly woman. Beside me, Li Jiran's expression chilled as she stepped forward. Li Xingyuan, come here. Before Li Jiran's hand could even touch a strand of my hair, my sister had already shielded me behind her. She looked at Li Jiran coldly. Li Nian, you'd better stay away from Yuan. Li Jiran's eyes held a hint of coldness.
Li Xingyuan,
I told you to come here. I gave Li Jiran a mocking glance. Li Jiran, where do you get the confidence to think I'd come and go at your beck and call? We are already divorced. Mind your attitude when speaking to me now. Li Jiran called out twice, but saw me staying still behind Li Mayan. An inexplicable rage flared up in her heart, and her expression became frost-like. It's only been a few days since the divorce. First Feng Xiu, now Li Mayan. I didn't realize you had this capability before. When did you and Li Mayan start? Her voice wasn't quiet, and since everyone was already watching, they all heard it now. He Suning, who seemed so weak he was about to faint, stumbled over to Li Jiran's side. Since everyone was already watching, they all heard it now. He Suning, who seemed so weak he was about to faint, stumbled over to Li Jiran's Yuan sighed. Ziren, I was just discussing this with Brother Yuan, because I discovered Miss Li's affair during your marriage. I acted impulsively out of injustice for you. I stared at He Suning mockingly. Mr. He, it's better to have some shame. Don't just get slapped on the left cheek, and then offer the right one to be slapped too. I didn't want to say this, but it doesn't matter how you treat me. You can't hurt Ziren anymore. I walked a few steps up to He Suning. My relationship with Li Mayan didn't just start during my marriage to Li Jiran. Since the moment I was born, I've been on the same household register as Li Mayan. As I casually uttered these words, the scene instantly fell into silence. Everyone looked at each other. I crossed my arms and stared at He Suning with disdain. Mr. He, are you saying I cheated on my wife with my own sister? These words were no different from a bomb, shocking everyone present. A few bold, wealthy heirs in the crowd spoke up. Mr. Li, when you divorced Miss Li, did you obtain any assets? I crossed my arms, my gaze sweeping past the pale-faced He Suning to Li Jiran's face, which was cold as ice, and spoke calmly. I don't care about the tiny bit the Li family has, let alone the fact that Miss Li didn't intend to give me any. Even if it were handed to me, I wouldn't want it. Li Jiran's gaze grew even colder. At that moment, Li Mayan pulled me back, looking at He Suning with sharp eyes. Mr. He, your words tonight are enough for the Li family to sue you for slander. But I don't want your name to appear alongside my brother's. You're not worthy. So if you ever dare to act in front of my brother again, don't blame the Li family for being ruthless. Li Mayan pulled me away. The people around us tactfully made a path for us. Until our figures disappeared, some people were still sighing, as if it had all been a dream. And at this time, at the corner of the second floor, Feng Xiu leaned on the railing, having enjoyed the grand drama with great interest. She followed me from the crowd in the direction I left. The banquet continued. He Suning held Li Jiran's waist, his ears still ringing. I didn't do it on purpose. He misled me. He probably hates us too much. That's why he wanted to embarrass us in public. Right? Li Jiran's emotions were extremely complex. Just as my sister and I stepped out of the venue, we heard a voice behind us. Wait for me. Li Mayan turned around, one hand protecting me, the other pushing back the person rushing in. Feng Xiu's path was blocked. She shrugged, looking at me with an indifferent expression. You were great today. It's the first time I've seen someone make Li Jiran that angry and still get away unscathed. I gave her a cold glance. Do you have a grudge against Li Jiran? Why are you so happy to see her angry? Feng Xiu laughed. No grudge before, but in the future, who knows? As she spoke, her sparkling eyes stared at me with a smile. I felt creeped out by her gaze and pursed my lips. Let's go back. Before getting in, Feng Xiu tried to hitch a ride, but I quickly shut the car door. She rubbed her nose and walked to the front, and only stopped after bumping her nose against Li Mayan. The car drove smoothly on the way back to the Li residence. I rested my chin on my hand and looked out the window. At this moment, the Li family had fallen into an unprecedentedly heavy atmosphere. In the Li family living room, Li Jiran and He Suning were sitting on the sofa. Li Jiran and He Suning sat on the sofa. Mrs. Li walked down the spiral staircase from the second floor and sat opposite the two of them. Your grandmother has already fallen asleep. Now you can explain what's going on with Li Xingyuan. How did he become the eldest son of the Li family? He couldn't be lying to us, could he? Li Jiran's expression was grim. Li Mayan isn't that naive. This kind of thing couldn't be hidden forever. And the Li family indeed has an eldest son. Mrs. Li was furious, but didn't dare speak loudly for fear of waking the old lady. Then what is the deal with Li Xingyuan? Our Li family and the Li family have always been competitors. Did he hide his identity to marry you for some scheme? He Suning tried to persuade Mrs. Li from the side. Auntie, please don't worry. Even if he wanted to do something, it's useless now. Ziren has already divorced him. On the surface, he was persuading, but in reality, he was secretly adding fuel to the fire. Mrs. Li's anger grew even stronger from the instigation, muttering about whether I had stolen any confidential data from the Li family. Li Jiran sat there with her eyes slightly lowered. Her temple was throbbing, feeling as if something was missing in her heart. Besides the anger, there was a sense of loss. Amidst her chaotic thoughts, the corner of her clothes moved slightly. She snapped back and met He Suning's concerned eyes. Ziren, let's go back. Let Auntie get some rest. Mrs. Li had been rambling for a long time. Seeing her daughter's absent-minded state, she warned, be careful. I don't think that man has any good intentions. Li Jiran was frustrated. He stayed at the Li house for 2 years. If he wanted to scheme, he would have done it long ago. What do you mean by this? Beside her, He Suning's eyes dimmed as he stepped in to smooth things over. Ziren, please understand, Auntie. Brother Yuan caused a scene at Auntie's birthday party today. Auntie is also in a bad mood. In the end, Lee Jiran said nothing more. Leaving the Lee house, the car drove to the bottom of He Suning's building. He hesitated slightly. Ziran, I'm all alone at home. Can you keep me company? Lee Jiran, in the driver's seat, remained silent, neither speaking nor moving. He Suning grit his teeth and got out of the car alone. Mrs. Lee's birthday banquet became the talk of Chingcheng. Everyone also found out that I, the eldest son of the Lee family, had married Lee Jiran, quite the piece of gossip. By the time people heard the gossip, we had already divorced. For a while, rumors began to spread. Meanwhile, I was peacefully resting at home. I used to stay up all night recently. Now Lee Mayan has ordered me not to go out at night. I happened to rediscover my old skills. In the bedroom, I held a small camera and filmed the tabletop. On the table was a dazzling array of opened cosmetics. After explaining their uses one by one, I placed the camera tripod on the table, facing myself. Today, I'm going to teach you special effects makeup. In many films and TV shows, you can see some actors appearing to gain 100 pounds. I picked up a box of prosthetic skin wax. After demonstrating to the camera, I slowly shaped my bone structure and skin into the appearance of a woman. Then I introduced the cosmetics one by one, applying ivory white foundation. After the full application, I finally put on a wig. A lifelike consort Xiang appeared on screen. After I finished recording the video, I also showed how to remove the makeup. These skills were actually essential when I was a mortician. That's why a mortician's makeup skills are sometimes far superior to those of professional makeup artists. After finishing everything, I uploaded the video to my account. I recently created a few short video accounts on purpose. Usually, I share some makeup tutorials. Occasionally, I post some health and wellness tips. My idea is simple. I want to legitimize the lonely profession of a mortician. The first thing to do is expand my influence. After uploading, I curled up on the sofa fiddling with my phone, although it's only been 10 odd days. But because what I posted early on were videos with huge before and after makeup contrasts, the stats were good. The platform kept promoting them. I already have over 100,000 followers. This growth rate led many companies to contact me privately. By afternoon, I was still on the sofa, engrossed in reading a rare book. This rare edition was compiled during the Song Dynasty. It is an ancient TCM prescription called the Wanfeng Theory. I was reading intently, chin in hand. The phone beside me rang. I picked it up and saw it was Huananfeng calling. Tonight, work at Jalan Club. I said lazily, my sister doesn't let me go out at night. You want to invite me now? Too early. Too early. You're going to Jalan Club for breakfast in the early morning? Why is Lee Mayan so fussy? Don't mind her. I'll pick you up tonight. I've stayed home for so many days. My body has mostly recovered. I thought about it. Life is too bland like this. I still need some nightlife. Fine. Don't come pick me up. I'll go out on my own. 8:30 p.m. I had dinner with my mom and sister, being as obedient as always. Then I went back to my second-floor bedroom to sleep. After all, I've been well-behaved for a month and a half. My mom and sister didn't suspect a thing. At 9, I dropped a rope ladder from the second floor, successfully climbed down, exited through the back door. I called a taxi to avoid waking my family, headed straight to Jalan Club. Half an hour later, I was sitting next to Huananfeng, holding a glass of juice. My lips twitched slightly. Huananfeng accidentally bumped my arm. The glass in my hand swung. Red wine splashed all over my shirt. I got up to clean up in the restroom. A female model followed me out. I turned and saw Lee Jiran walking over from nearby. Lee Jiran was there for business. She originally wanted to come out to clear her head. As she stepped out, she saw a tall man nearby, leading a female model out of the restroom. This kind of thing is common in clubs. Then the man's voice came. Looking like this, how can you work in this industry? Lee Jiran's mind felt like it had been struck by lightning. She suppressed her anger. A hint of mockery appeared on her face. What are you doing? I was originally just patting the model's shoulder. But now that I saw Lee Jiran, and she was speaking mockingly, I decided to go all the way. I directly wrapped my arm around the model's waist. What else could I be doing here? Lee Jiran stared at that hand. Her voice sounded like it was filled with grit. Mr. Lee, your acting is top-notch. I didn't realize you were this wild before. My hand traced a line along the model's waist. I laughed arrogantly. There's a lot you didn't notice. Turns out your eyesight isn't that great either. While speaking, I planned to leave with the model. Just seeing this scum woman makes me angry. She wasted 2 years of my youth for nothing. The model was already terrified. Pulled her away. She followed obediently. As we passed each other, my wrist tightened. I looked up and saw Lee Jiran grabbing me. Her eyes were cold and dark. What were you doing with her in the restroom? I frowned and tried to shake her off, but she held on tight. I narrowed my eyes and looked at the model. You go back first. Wait for me. okay? The model hesitantly left. Once she was out of sight, only then did I turn to look at Li Jiran. I'll give you one chance. Li Jiran remained indifferent. I sneered and didn't hesitate. Following the force of Li Jiran's grip on my hand, I dodged with a quick slide and grabbed the woman's hand in reverse. Finding the right spot, I used her own momentum to flip her over. Clean and efficient, Li Jiran crashed to the floor, her vision blurring. After throwing her, I dusted off my hands and prepared to leave. Just as I took a step, my ankle was grabbed again. Li Jiran let out a cold laugh, suppressing her anger. Very well, so you're actually quite skilled. I raised an eyebrow and swiftly lifted my foot, intending to deliver a blow to Li Jiran's hand. Li Jiran was on guard and quickly dodged, avoiding it with sharp movements. She then pinned me against the wall, radiating the aura of someone in power. I looked down slightly at Li Jiran. Her face was extremely close to mine. Still want to fight? I was fuming, narrowing my eyes as a thought occurred to me. You're hurting me. Li Jiran's expression remained cold, wanting to see what trick I was playing now, but her grip instinctively loosened for a moment. In the next instant, I grabbed the vase from the sink and smashed it down ruthlessly. Remembering she was the executive of the Li Corporation, I didn't aim for her head, but hit her in the back instead. Having landed the hit, I didn't even have time to look back and bolted toward the private room. I made it all the way back to the room. Although the Jalan Club is in Qingqing, it's too close to the Li family sphere of influence. Now that I've played a dirty trick on her, there might be trouble later. I called out to the hostesses in the room. All of you, get out. I turned to the trembling hostess in the corner. You, come help me. Help him up. The hostess obediently helped up the sleeping Huananfeng and followed me out of the club. It was already late at night. None of us had driven here, and we couldn't even hail a taxi. Just as I was getting anxious, a red Ferrari pulled up in front of us. Feng Xiu had one hand on the steering wheel and one arm resting on the windowsill. What a coincidence that we meet again. I immediately instructed the hostess, put him in the back seat. She obediently and quickly placed Huananfeng in the back. I swiftly climbed into the passenger seat. Feng Xiu looked at the person in the passenger seat. I settled in, then turned to the hostess and frowned. Li Jiran had seen what she looked like. If she can't find me, the culprit, she might take it out on her. You get in too. Without a word, the hostess scrambled into the car. Feng Xiu, sitting in the driver's seat, looked bewildered. What are you doing? Kidnapping the eldest young master of the Hua family? I didn't say a word to Feng Xiu the whole time, efficiently finishing everything. I didn't even give her a glance. Drive. Feng Xiu spotted a familiar figure chasing them out of the club, and a smirk played on her lips. Split the ransom 50-50 with me. The red Ferrari sped away. As the car drove down the road, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Feng Xiu slowed down the car. Little brother, you owe me a huge favor this time. I rested my eyes in the passenger seat, suppressing the nausea in my stomach. The speed had been too fast earlier, and I hadn't recovered yet, so I didn't want to talk. Feng Xiu curled her lips. If you want to repay me, why not treat me to some midnight snacks? In the back seat, Huananfeng woke up and let out a loud vomit. Feng Xiu freaked out. Stick his head out the window. The hostess's aggrieved voice sounded. It's too late. Feng Xiu slammed on the brakes, and the car screeched to a halt. She turned to look at Huananfeng in the back. This is a nightmare. I'm a germaphobe. Get him out of here. In the passenger seat, the sudden brake made it impossible for me to hold it in. Covered my mouth and gagged. Feng Xiu stared at me in horror. Little brother, hold it in. Took me a while to recover. The smell in the car was pungent. Feng Xiu threw a pack of wet wipes and tissues over. The hostess diligently cleaned up in the back. The windows were opened for ventilation, and in the end, there was no appetite left for midnight snacks. She resignedly drove Huananfeng back to the Hua family home first. Then she drove me back home. She looked frail and weak as she left. Remember that you owe me a favor. In the night breeze in front of the Li family gate, the female model and I stared at each other. Her eyes were sincere and sparkling. I rubbed my forehead. What's your name? Brother, my name is Lu Xiaoxiao. Why are you working as a female model? Lu Xiaoxiao looked flustered. Brother, today was my first time. A classmate asked me to go. They said it was just having a few drinks, and I could earn a month's living expenses. What a naive thought. Lu Xiaoxiao was lucky to end up with me and Huananfeng. If she had fallen into the hands of guests with heavier tastes who play rough, she probably wouldn't be able to stay this naive. My voice became a bit more stern. You're over 20, right? Do you not know what can happen when working as a female model? You just believe whatever your classmates tell you? Which university do you go to? Lu Xiaoxiao panicked, her large eyes becoming misty. Qing University. Brother, I had no other choice. I need money. My sister is sick. My heart softened a bit. I asked for Lu Xiaoxiao's WeChat and transferred 10,000 yuan to her. Find a place to stay tonight. I'll contact you tomorrow. We'll talk then. Lu Xiaoxiao held her phone. Her innocent heart was touched. She left, looking back every few steps. I climbed back into the bedroom via the rope ladder from the window. I rolled up the rope ladder and stuffed it under the bed. After washing up, I was already very sleepy by the time I lay in bed. The phone rang a few times. I glanced at it. It was an unknown number. I picked it up, turned it off immediately, and went to sleep. The next day, I was busy for half the day. I only remembered my phone after sending all the videos. I turned it on and took a look. 5 missed calls. That unknown number looked familiar. I worried it was the funeral home looking for me. I called back. A cold female voice sounded on the other end. It was Li Jiran. Her voice was very distinctive. Even over the phone, it seemed to carry a chill. I hung up immediately and swiftly added her to the blacklist. Thinking about last night, I was still gnashing my teeth in anger, but as I thought about it, I remembered the female model I had forgotten. I think I added her on WeChat last night. I opened my phone and checked. Sure enough, she had sent 2 messages. Are you there, brother? Lu Xiaoxiao transferred 9,950 yuan to you. I frowned and replied, are you free at 2? Lu Xiaoxiao replied instantly. I sent the address of a cafe I frequently visit. It was almost 1 o'clock now. I tidied myself up. I told my mother and drove to the cafe. The cafe wasn't far from the Li Corporation building. By the time I arrived, Lu Xiaoxiao was already there. She sat in her seat, looking somewhat uneasy. Her large eyes looked around helplessly. When she saw me, her large eyes seemed to light up instantly. She stood up abruptly. I was amused by her. This isn't military training. Please sit down. We both sat down. I shook my phone. The money I sent for your room. Why did you transfer it back? I found a small guest house. 100 yuan a night. I still have 50 yuan on me. Thank you, brother. I frowned slightly. Chongqing developed rapidly. It's a first-tier city in the country. I really didn't expect there to still be a 100 yuan guest house. I couldn't see clearly in the dark last night. Today, the sunlight outside was bright. It made the girl's delicate features look exceptionally bright. She looked to be nearly 1.7 meters tall. The only drawback was that she was too thin. I remembered what she said last night. You said yesterday that you did that job for your sister. Tell me more. Lu Xiaoxiao lowered her head and told me about her family. I considered myself cold-hearted, but I still felt some sympathy listening to her. The Lu family was a highly educated one, but her parents passed away early. Lu Xiaoxiao's sister worked while studying and had just become a professor at Qing University. But for some unknown reason, she committed suicide at Qing University, jumping from the tallest building. She didn't die, but became a vegetable. Her survival depends entirely on medical equipment, lying in the intensive care unit. Even after deductions, the daily cost is still several thousand. Lu Xiaoxiao is still a junior in college. She sold off all the Lu family's ancestral property. Eventually, she reached the end of her rope. Through a classmate's introduction, she became a female model. I fell silent for a long while after hearing this. Did the hospital say where your sister was injured? Vegetative states are usually caused by brain injuries. Lu Xiaoxiao lowered her eyes, her voice sounding sad. They said there's a blood clot in her brain. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Brain death is possible over time, but there's also hope she might wake up. It's hard to say right now. I have a general idea now. I looked Lu Xiaoxiao over. You study photography, right? Do you want to work while studying? Lu Xiaoxiao secretly clenched her fists, gathering her courage. Brother, do you want to be my sugar daddy? My eyelid twitched. I don't have that intention for now. While Lu Xiaoxiao felt relieved, she also felt a sense of loss. What does Brother Xing mean by working while studying? I pulled up my short video accounts on my phone. I've been making videos lately. I have a few accounts, but I know nothing about photography. Sometimes the lighting isn't right. It just doesn't capture the most authentic effect. Would you like to be my assistant? Lu Xiaoxiao nodded firmly. I chuckled. You didn't even ask about the salary. Brother is a good person. You trust people too easily, but since you've agreed, come to my house tomorrow to report for work. 3-day trial period. If you pass, I'll cover your sister's hospital expenses, and I'll give you an extra 3,000 a month for living expenses. Lu Xiaoxiao was stunned. She nodded vigorously in excitement. Then she bit her lip. Brother, you might not know, My sister's hospital bills are several thousand a day. I know, even if I hired any professional photographer, it wouldn't cost this much. Lu Zhao, everyone has their low points. If you feel you're in the dark, you should grasp the only hope available. This is not the time to be polite. If you feel I'm giving too much, once your sister recovers, work for me for a few more years for free. I smiled gently. Lu Zhaozhao clenched her hands until her knuckles turned white. Brother gave me a ray of light in my desperation. Not just a few years. If I can really wait for my sister to get better, I'd be willing to work for brother for free for the rest of my life. I chatted with Lu Zhaozhao for a while. I gave her an advance of 100,000 for the hospital deposit. I also sent her the address of the Li family. At the same time, I asked for her sister's room number. Lu Zhaozhao stood up. Brother Yuan, I'll go to class now. I'll be there on time tomorrow. I smiled and waved my hand. Go on. Once Lu Zhaozhao left, I sat alone in the coffee shop. After operating my phone quickly, I entered another system. I quickly contacted the director of Qingcheng First Hospital.
Directoli.
I heard you have a patient named Lu Anin. I'd like to see her medical records. The reply came back instantly. Teacher Smith, I'll send them to you immediately. Then he asked me timidly, Teacher Smith, do you have time lately? First Hospital has recently hired many new doctors who returned from studying abroad. Would you have time to give a lecture? I typed, maybe in a while. I'm a bit busy lately. The medical records for Lu Anin were sent over quickly. Director Li sent a middle-aged man's emoji. If you're busy, you must be conducting some secret medical research. But since Director Li had already imagined a reason for me, I just gave a hum of agreement. I opened Lu Anin's medical records and started reading. The problem is troublesome, but it's not too big of a problem. I have a general idea now. I closed the medical record interface. The phone switched back to the original system. The afternoon sunlight was pleasant. I stretched. Sound came from the television in the coffee shop. The lead will be played by the rising star He Suning, paired with the super popular diva Han Ying. My hand gripping the coffee cup tightened. My brow furrowed. I looked up at the TV nearby. It was showing the official stills of the lead actors. I clicked my tongue. A manipulative guy playing the male lead. I've seen plenty of news about He Suning lately. He was originally just an obscure minor celebrity. Then, by some stroke of incredible luck, he was adopted by a wealthy man in Jiangcheng and instantly became a young master. 3 years after being adopted, the tycoon passed away. He Suning inherited 70 million in assets and went abroad to study to polish his resume. Upon his return, his opportunities skyrocketed, and lately his fame has been at its peak. I narrowed my eyes. The reason for this kid's rise in resources is nothing other than my ex-wife's secret help. I had lost my memory. I originally had no intention of dealing with that disgusting couple, but letting He Suning play my male lead, I just find it disgusting. I picked up my phone and made a call. I'm not satisfied with the male lead. Yes, he must be replaced. Sunlight streamed through the glass onto my face. I was preoccupied. If you can't replace him, then don't film this drama either. I'll replace the person immediately. I smiled and became polite. I'll treat you to dinner when you have time. TSK, I still haven't seen your real face. Your politeness is a bit too fake. Li Shan is a renowned director with numerous awards. In her 40s, we met by chance online. We get along like friends across generations, but we've never met in person. In my younger years, I loved reading wuxia novels, but there haven't been many high-quality ones recently. So, on a whim, I decided to write one myself. Over a few years, Zhang Yuxing became one of the wuxia classics. Everyone thought the author behind Zhang Yuxing must be a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s, with a weathered life. I didn't want people to know my identity anyway, so I never bothered to correct them, except for Li Shan. No one else in the world knows who I am. Xingyue Media. He Suning had just returned from his interview, only to see the director and the female lead sitting together discussing something. He smiled and walked over to sit beside Li Shan. Director, He Suning wanted to build a good relationship. Although rumors said Director Li had a strange temper, he could endure it for the sake of the awards she wins. He could bear it. Li Shan looked back with a cold expression. Mr. He, there's something I need to inform you about. What? The choice for the male lead may need to be changed. He Suning stood up abruptly. He had just joyfully finished his interview, only to be replaced immediately. Isn't this a slap in the face? Why? It's a request from the author of Zhang Yuxing. He Suning's face flushed with agitation. That Chu Nanzhou. Does he have any say in the casting of the leads? Li Shan didn't like He Suning to begin with, but the biggest investor in this drama is the Li family. The Li family recommended He Suning, so she reluctantly agreed. Now that she can change the lead, she feels much more relieved. Chu Nanzhou is our partner. He said if the lead isn't replaced, he will withdraw the cooperation. If the copyright isn't settled, we won't even be able to film the drama. By comparison, even if the Li family withdraws funding, she must replace the lead. He Suning was furious. It's already been announced across the web. Are you intentionally trying to make me look like a fool? Unfortunately, his protests were useless. Li Shan and Haning left one after another. The manager pulled He Suning back, telling him not to chase after them. It's useless to look for Director Li. She's a top director in the entertainment industry. Don't offend her. And she's not the one who wants to replace you. Not letting me be the male lead. Then don't expect this drama to be filmed properly. I'll make Jiran withdraw the investment. Let's see how they'll film it without money. The manager hesitated to speak. The Li family invested in this drama, seeing the huge profits it would bring, recommending He Suning was just a side thing, wanting the Li family to withdraw funding. The Li family might not necessarily agree. The Li family, for 3 consecutive days, my makeup transformation videos went viral across the web. My followers grew exponentially. I set up a studio on the first floor of my house. Every afternoon, Lu Xiaoxiao came on time for the shoot. After filming, Lu Xiaoxiao did the editing. I sat aside scrolling through the comments on my phone. In a few days, everyone became interested in the person who often talked with me. Some people left comments asking if Lu Xiaoxiao was my girlfriend. My reply was straightforward. No, she's not. She's my assistant. Pretty young girl. Now I have nearly 1 million followers. While replying, I also noticed some negative comments. I sneered, too lazy to bother with them, but Lu Xiaoxiao saw them while uploading the video. She couldn't stand people attacking her idol, so she immediately uploaded several deleted bloopers and high-definition close-ups of my makeup process. Neither Lu Xiaoxiao nor I expected that the video would trend on the hot search immediately after posting. It happened to be the weekend. I slept until noon before being woken up by Hua Nanfeng's call. Young Master Hua, what do you want on a weekend? A boisterous voice came through the line. Li Xingyuan, you're trending on the hot search. Do you know that? Before I could ask for details, I suddenly heard Hua's father shouting angrily, Nanfeng, where is my purple clay teapot? The call from Hua Nanfeng's end was immediately cut off. My heart started pounding. How did I suddenly end up on the hot search? I opened Weibo and found the top trending topic. It had already exploded online. In the trending topic, my previous makeup videos were also reposted. Praises kept pouring in. I rubbed my head, feeling a bit of a headache. Although I hoped to expand my influence, I didn't want it to be as exaggerated as trending on the hot search. But thinking that Lu Xiaoxiao meant well, I pursed my lips and ultimately didn't try to take down the trend. I got up and washed up. After lunch, I received a WeChat message from Lu Xiaoxiao. Did I cause trouble for you? I was studying that Wanfeng theory book and replied casually. However, compared to my calmness, a huge number of people couldn't stay still. My followers on various short video platforms skyrocketed. There were many private messages inviting me to debut. Some were invitations from platforms to sign a contract. After looking through them, I saw a familiar name. Hello, Diligent A1.
I am Director Li Shan.
I saw your short videos on the hot search. I'd like to invite you to audition for the male lead in the new drama Jiang Yuxing. I smiled and replied, I don't want to debut. Thanks for the invitation. While it was buzzing online, I remained leisurely and content until the afternoon, when the online sentiment suddenly shifted. A crowd of people trying to manipulate the narrative flooded the trending topic. This Diligent A1 must be a calculating guy. He actually bought his way onto the hot search. I checked the hot search for current events. We should be focusing on people's livelihoods. How can a small influencer like this buy a spot on the hot search now? The videos he posts make me feel sick. What, makeup transformation videos? It's just clickbait to grab attention. I scrolled through the comments, my brow furrowing slightly. I wouldn't mind 1 or 2 people, but these people were clearly prepared. It looked exactly like marketing accounts manipulating the trend. Besides the attacks with some basis, most were completely baseless comments. Some people even claimed to be my high school classmates, exposing my dark secrets. I scrolled through with my phone. My eyes narrowed slightly. Someone is targeting me, but the number of people I've offended is limited. Someone who could target me like this and have the channels to buy paid trolls. There's only one person. Is he Suning? I got up from the sofa. Just as I was about to go back to my room to investigate, Li Mayan returned from outside, with anger on her face. Li Xingyuan, when did you start a video account? Didn't you say you set up the studio to improve your skills? So this is what you've been filming. I gave a guilty smile. Sister, let me explain. As the eldest son of the Li family, I have enjoyed extreme protection since childhood. Aside from those close to the Li family, few people in Qingqing have ever seen me, and there's absolutely no information about me online. Not to mention the photos. Although I don't understand my mother and sister's overprotection, I still live a low-profile life for the sake of my family. After a long explanation to Li Mayan, and a bit of acting cute, my sister's anger only grew. I narrowed my eyes, my gaze becoming sharper. If you keep this up, I'll run away from home. Li Mayan's face froze and her eyes welled up. Then she started cursing the online water army. Do you want me to take down the trending search? No need. Let them curse. If the trending search could have been removed before, but after such a wave of water army flooded in, removing it now would make me look guilty. Halfway through my chat with Li Mayan, my phone rang. I looked and saw it was another unknown number. I answered, and the voice on the other end was cold. It was Li Jiran. This time she got straight to the point. Grandmother wants to see you. The hand I was about to use to hang up stopped. I had a good impression of Grandma Li from our last meeting, although I lost my memory. Seeing how much Grandma Li cherished me, she must have taken great care of me over the past 2 years. I felt a sense of closeness to the old lady, but given Li Jiran's attitude, she probably thinks I'll come whenever she calls. I narrowed my eyes and thought of the trending search. I'll go, but on one condition. Someone hired a water army to smear me online. Find out who is behind the water army, and I'll go see grandmother. How about it? There was silence for a few seconds. When the voice spoke again, it was even colder. Gu Xie will pick you up in half an hour. Who is Gu Xie? I wanted to ask more, but the other end had already hung up. I gritted my teeth, wanting to curse. Turning around, I saw Li Mayan staring at me suspiciously. Who was on the phone? I didn't intend to hide it.
Li Ziran.
Li Mayan exploded the moment she heard the name. You're going to see her? Thinking of the elderly woman I met last time, my voice softened a bit. Not to see her, but to see her grandmother. No matter how trashy Li Jiran is, her grandmother must have been good to me. The elderly lady wants to see me, so I should go. Li Mayan was deeply worried, but I didn't think too much about it. 20 minutes later, that unknown number sent a picture. It was a chat record, a record of a man named Musi hiring a water army. Half an hour later, the servant at the Li family gate called, saying someone named Gu Xie had come to pick me up. I got into Gu Xie's car and headed to the Li family's old residence. The car drove slowly. I noticed Gu Xie driving in the front seat, glancing at me through the rearview mirror from time to time. Pursed my lips. Are you Li Jiran's assistant? Yes. Gu Xie's attitude was respectful. As Li Jiran's assistant, she had met me a few times before. In her memory, I always spoke softly. I had always played the part of the good man in front of Li Jiran. But now, although my style of dress is the same as before, leaning lazily against the back seat, despite having no particular posture, it inexplicably gave people a feeling of nobility and a faint sense of pressure. I chatted with Gu Xie along the way, casually fishing for some things from the past. The more I heard, the more furious I became. The Li Jiran in Gu Xie's words was like a goddess. If the business world were a giant chessboard, she was the god outside the game moving the pieces. The public evaluation of that trashy woman Li is truly high. The Li family's old residence. Grandma Li was sitting in the living room, smilingly pulling Li Jiran to look at a tablet. On the tablet was the account of diligent Ayuan. Grandma Li was full of praise. Our grandson-in-law is just so handsome. I didn't expect his makeup skills to be so good. Li Jiran sat to the side, looking at the person on the screen with cold eyes. She looked at the radiant person in the video. Grandma Li clicked on the comments under the video. The malice from Weibo hadn't spread to this platform yet, so it was full of comments praising me. Grandma Li felt proud by association. My grandson-in-law is so cute. Everyone says he's a handsome guy. A hint of mockery flashed in Li Jiran's eyes. When I entered the living room of the old residence, I heard Grandma Li's laughter. Yuan is here. I glanced at Li Jiran behind Grandma Li. Even in casual loungewear, she couldn't hide her elegant and aloof aura. A flicker of disgust crossed my face. I turned to Grandma Li with a bright smile. Did you miss me, Grandma? Grandma Li held my hand with both of hers and led me to sit on the sofa. I did. It's been so long. You haven't come to see me. Have you forgotten about your grandma? The old lady's pouting look amused me. I think of you every day, Grandma. Thinking about coming to see you. It's Jiran who wouldn't let me come. Li Jiran suddenly took the fall for nothing. Her expression grew colder. I was sure she didn't dare tell the old lady about the divorce. I tried my best to play the victim. The more Grandma Li heard, the angrier she got. She turned and waved her hand as if she were going to hit someone. All you know is how to bully a Yuan. Such a wonderful husband. If you bully him away, I'll kick you out of the Li family. Li Jiran's voice was gentle when facing the old lady. I understand. She turned to look at me. That face, usually cold and sharp, suddenly smiled, like all things reviving as the snow begins to melt. Her deep dark eyes were like a vortex, making me daze for a moment. Then a chill ran down my spine. I felt a shiver. I stayed and chatted with Grandma Li for a while. There was a sound outside the door. I looked up and saw Mrs. Li and He Suning walking in together. They must have just come back from shopping. The servants behind them were carrying many bags. As soon as Mrs. Li saw me, her brow immediately furrowed. "What are you doing here?" I gave a faint glance and said nothing. Grandma Li beside us frowned. "What kind of talk is that? This is a Yuan's home. Why can't he be here?" Mrs. Li hesitated to speak. Instead, He Suning stepped forward and said something. Only then did the expression on Mrs. Li's face soften a bit. "You're the only one with tact." He Suning turned to greet me. "Hello, brother Yuan." I didn't even give him a side glance. I turned to ask Grandma Li, "Who is this?" Grandma Li didn't know that Li Jiran and He Suning's little matter. She smiled. "He's a friend of Jiran's." I repeated it meaningfully, looking at He Suning with a squinty smile. "A friend? Huh? He doesn't look that young. Does he have a girlfriend?" He Suning's face darkened. He looked at Li Jiran for help. The woman frowned slightly. "Li Xingyuan, it's getting late. Let's go back first." It was afternoon when we arrived. Now the sky had already grown dark. Grandma Li reluctantly saw me to the door, watching us get into the car. The car drove out of the Li family's old residence. I sat in the back seat, wanting to stay far away from that scum woman Li. But the back seat is only so wide. The oppressive feeling from the woman filled the entire car. Not long after the car drove off, another BMW caught up. Jiran. He Suning got out of the car and stood outside. His pitiful look was as if he'd suffered a great injustice. I narrowed my eyes. Li Jiran rolled down the window. "Why did you come out?" He Suning looked at me inside the car. "I have something I want to discuss with you. It just so happens we're going the same way. If we go together, brother Yuan probably won't mind. Right? Mind? I mind. You're acting too fake." He Suning looked flustered. Standing outside the window, he hurriedly explained. "Brother Yuan, do you have some misunderstanding about me? I really want to get along with you. After all, you are Jiran's ex-husband." I looked up and glanced at He Suning. Dropped a bombshell. "Get along with me? Are you worthy? Spent quite a bit of money on paid trolls, didn't you?" He Suning's face froze. "Brother Yuan, what are you talking about? What paid trolls?" On my way here, I already checked the IP address of that Musi, although it was deeply hidden, but after layers of screening, I finally identified the person who posted the task. He's a personal assistant to He Xiangning. I sneered. "If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place." After finding the person, I had already gathered a series of evidence and posted screenshots in the trending topics. He Suning turned pale and looked at the woman beside him. Li Jiran got out of the car, told Gu Xia, "Send him back to the Li family." I turned around and saw her leading He Suning to the roadside. The distance wasn't close, so I couldn't hear what they were saying. I could only see He Suning's devastated face. I let out a cold laugh. Drive. A storm had already broken out online, pointing out that someone had hired internet trolls to smear me. During Madame Li's birthday banquet before, some people in Qingqing had seen me. Someone who knew the inside story immediately spoke about our grudge. The rising star He Suning is a gigolo who intruded into someone's marriage. And the hardworking Ayuan who topped the trending searches today is actually the eldest young master of the Li family, Li Xingyuan. The internet exploded instantly. This gossip was simply too huge. Everyone loathed gigolos. No wonder He Suning's resources skyrocketed. It turns out he got them by being someone's gigolo. Director Li certainly has an eye for talent. No wonder he replaced He Suning a while ago. It might just be because of this. He Suning's fans joined the fray, making all sorts of excuses for their idol. That hardworking Ayuan has no reputation at all. He's just bullying people with his power. The Li group is too powerful. This is capital oppressing our brother. I went back to the room. After taking a shower and checking again, I found that the trending topics about this were suddenly removed. The heated discussion suddenly came to a halt. I narrowed my eyes and sneered. Li Jiran really cares a lot about this scumbag. I have no intention of wasting time on this pair of scumbags. It's better that the trending topic was removed. If Li Mayan saw me involved in such things, I would inevitably be scolded. Scandals of various stars continued to wave across the internet, but He Xiangning's gigolo label was still remembered by netizens. Li Group. Li Jiran looked at the tablet tablet in front of her. She was on a short video platform, watching advertisements for products under the Lee Group. As she scrolled down, she came across a live stream. She was about to scroll back, but when she saw the face in the stream, her finger froze. I looked into the camera as if I were looking at her, smiling while introducing some makeup techniques. Lee Jiran frowned slightly. She didn't click into the stream, but just stayed on the preview. Suddenly, a woman's voice came from the video. Time to end the stream, I responded. Lee Jiran narrowed her eyes, with a cold, murderous aura. This female voice wasn't Lee Mayan. Her hand instinctively clicked into the stream. Bullet comments were scrolling in the stream. Yuan, let us see the female assistant. Her voice sounds great. I've been curious about your assistant for a long time. Ha ha ha. All sorts of comments were inviting the assistant to appear on screen. I smiled on the other side of the camera, looking at someone in the distance. Zhao Zhao. Do you mind appearing on screen? There was no response from the other side, but a young girl appeared in the frame. The comments scrolled. When Lee Jiran saw the girl's face, her expression turned cold. Is that female model, my ex-husband, really exceeds my expectations time and time again. Hiring a female model as an assistant.
Lee Jiran snarat.
On the other side, I watched Lu Zhaozhao smile at the camera. My little assistant is quite shy. A notification suddenly flew across the screen.
Listen, Ardurking Aiwan, a starship.
I fell into thought looking at that character. Lee Jiran probably wouldn't be so bored as to come here and send me gifts. Lee Group.
Lee Jiran's willow shapad bros furuba.
A chill flickered in her cold eyes. When she saw the model appear, she had an impulse to let me know that she had seen me with the model. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Lee Jiran looked up and saw Gu Xie entering with He Suning. Gu Xie looked helpless. Mr. He wants to see you. Lee Jiran's expression was indifferent. I see. You may leave. After Gu Xie left, He Suning stepped forward with red eyes. Ziran, I just contacted Director Lee again. The crew is already confirming the new role. Lee Jiran's expression was cold. I know. He Suning stepped forward with a grievance on his face. But everyone online is laughing at me now, saying I intruded into your marriage. And that's why Director Lee replaced me. If I really can't get this role, won't that just prove them right? Ziran, can you? Lee Jiran looked at his pitiful appearance and felt a sense of strangeness for the first time. She didn't know when He Suning had changed. She spoke calmly. I will arrange other resources for you. This drama has been fully handed over to Li Shan. She is a professional. She believes you are not suitable for the male lead. He Suning grew anxious, but Director Lee said I was very suitable. The author of Jiang Yuxing, Chu Nanzhou, strongly requested a casting change. Director Lee was even quite regretful, saying she was forced to change the lead. He Suning was certain Lee Jiran wouldn't ask Li Shan. She has always trusted me. Lee Jiran frowned slightly. The Lee family takes the investment in this drama very seriously. She pondered for a moment. I will handle this matter. You go back first. He Suning's eyes flickered. Chu Nanzhou is just someone who wrote. A middle-aged man writing wuxia novels. With pressure from the Lee family, the male lead of Jiang Yuxing will definitely return to me, since he got the promise. He decisively changed the subject. Ziran, have you been very busy lately? The two of them had rarely seen each other recently. This trend of development was wrong. Lee Jiran had clearly said before that, after divorcing Fang Xingyuan, she would prepare for her marriage with him. But there had been no further word since Mrs. Lee's banquet. He felt uneasy in his heart. Lee Jiran's gaze was cold. Not particularly busy. He Suning nervously pinched her sleeve. Then why didn't you come see me? Are you still angry about what happened before? Regarding what I did to Brother Yuan? Ziran, it's only because I care about you too much. You know that you're all I have now. I'm too afraid of losing you. Afraid that you'll fall in love with someone else. As He Suning spoke, seeing that Lee Jiran's expression didn't soften, he used his trump card. Ziran, you also know that I would even give up my life for you. Memories from years ago flooded her mind. Lee Jiran's voice softened slightly. I know. Back then, He Suning was brave and fearless. He pulled her back from the brink of death. But she wasn't a fool either. On the night of the birthday banquet, I exposed a part of He Suning. After that, it was like poking a hole in a paper window. That hole grew larger and larger. On the night of the birthday banquet, I exposed a part of He Suning. After that, it was like poking a hole in a paper window. The hole grew larger and larger. When I asked her to help find the people who hired water armies for the trending search, Gu Xie searched bit by bit and found Musi. She didn't expect that person to be He Suning's assistant.
Lee Jiran realiza.
She might have never known the real He Suning, just as he had never understood me. With Gu Xie's superior hacking skills, it was hard to make further progress after finding Musi. Yet Li Xingyuan could, in such a short time, Have Musie's true identity uncovered. Why did he hide his identity to marry me in the past? What exactly was it for? Li Jiran frowned deeply, her aura cold. He Suning beside her saw her spacing out. His heart skipped a beat. In just a moment of distraction, her expression returned to normal. She called Gu Xie in. Send him back. He Suning left feeling aggrieved. Li Jiran stayed in the office and pinched the bridge of her nose. Regardless, given the feelings from back then, helping He Suning pave his way now could be considered repayment. Go find Chu Nanzhou's contact information. Gu Xie was stunned.
Chu Nanzhou.
The person who wrote Jiang Yuxing. Gu Xie complied and went, but she didn't expect the search to take several days. All of Chu Nanzhou's online information was encrypted, even after contacting the website backend. In the end, they only got a phone number. The location of Chu Nanzhou's number was actually also Qingcheng. I just finished my live stream. While removing my makeup, I looked at Lu Xiaoxiao beside me. Lu Xiaoxiao was diligently covering the photography equipment with dust covers. I chuckled. The cleaning lady would do this in a bit. Lu Xiaoxiao shook her head. Professional equipment is better handled with care. To her, this equipment is expensive. Of course, she cherishes it. I smiled. My sister hasn't been bothering you lately, has she? No, she hasn't. Don't worry, brother. Ever since Li Mayan found out I make beauty videos at home, she's been somewhat dissatisfied. But under my pressure, she doesn't dare say anything. She just keeps a close eye on Lu Xiaoxiao, who comes over every day, staring intently. Whenever a woman gets close to me, Li Mayan looks like a hawk watching its prey. I figured it's probably because that scum Li woman played me, which left a deep shadow on my sister. As we were chatting, my phone rang. I picked it up, looked at it, and raised an eyebrow in surprise. I had modified the phone myself. Besides the main system, there's another more hidden system. Inside, there are several hidden SIM slots, allowing me to switch numbers from time to time. The card receiving the call now is the one I use when publishing as Chu Nanzhou. The website is looking for me. I answered the phone and turned on the voice changer. A familiar voice sounded on the other end. Just 2 words. A familiar coldness seemed to hit me. I moved my hand and checked the system display again. I wondered if my phone system was glitching. How could Li Jiran call Chu Nanzhou's number? After confirming the system was correct, I narrowed my eyes and pretended not to recognize her. Who is this? I am Li Jiran from the Li Group. You are Mr. Chu, correct? Is there something you need, Miss Li? Do you have some time? Regarding the casting for Jiang Yuxing, I would like to speak with you. I sneered inwardly. I remembered the last time I had Li Shan replace the male lead. Li Jiran calling now. Turns out she's fighting for him. My voice was cold. The male voice, after processing, sounded even more stiff. This matter is non-negotiable. There was a pause on the other end. I trust Director Li's professional ability. She believes He Suning is very suitable for the male lead. Mr. Chu, I believe you also want your work to be presented with the best possible effect. I don't think he's suitable. I gave no explanation at all. The voice on the other end turned cold. The investor also has the right to choose the cast. I hope Mr. Chu is clear about this. Then why did you even call me? If you're so capable, go ahead and withdraw the investment. I hung up the call. I threw the phone on the table in a bit of a huff. Li Group. Li Jiran looked coldly at the disconnected call. She didn't treat this as a big deal. She was still approving documents. The phone was beside her on speaker. She didn't expect to encounter such a reckless person. Gu Xie stood to the side, looking as if she wished she were deaf. In all these years, it was the first time she'd seen President Li get hung up on. If you're so capable, go ahead and withdraw the investment. The tone was utterly rogue. Gu Xie stepped forward cautiously, looking at Li Jiran, who was frowning at the phone.
President Li.
Should we call back? No need. Do we need to pressure the director's side? Li Jiran shook her head, frowning deeply. She had promised He Suning regarding this matter, but pressuring Li Shan would be useless. The problem lies with Chu Nanzhou. As the investor, Li Jiran knew the original author signed a contract-based agreement. The copyright wasn't sold. It was merely a commissioned filming. He indeed has the right to choose the cast. Li Jiran's expression darkened. Chu Nanzhou is from Qingcheng. Keep investigating. I'll meet him in person. Face-to-face talks are the most effective. If all else fails, I can just buy Jiang Yuxing at a high price. Gu Xie's face turned bitter. The tasks President Li has been giving me lately. What kind of work is this? I've been investigating Chu Nanzhou for a few days, but I couldn't find his real identity at all. The same happened when I checked Mr. Qian's hospitalization records. Gu Xie, who always performed perfectly at work, felt that she might be having a run of bad luck lately. Li Jiran narrowed her eyes. During the call just now, she heard music in the background, an instrumental piece that sounded familiar. That's what I heard during my last live stream. It was a very niche piece of music. My online followers have surged recently. Li Li Jiran knows this, and this Chu Nanzhou is even a fan of mine. When it was time to get off work, Li Jiran returned to Senyuan. She entered the house. The butler stepped forward to take her coat. Li Jiran returned to the bedroom. The scent in the room was different from usual. Li Jiran frowned slightly and called the butler. Was the incense changed? No, it wasn't. The still agarwood incense. Li Jiran used to suffer from frequent headaches. After using agarwood incense for its calming effect, they gradually eased a bit. The woody scent helped her concentrate better. Li Jiran walked to the incense burner. Wisps of white smoke rose from the copper burner, turning into a mist. She opened the burner and took a look. The butler explained softly beside her. The previous agarwood incense was all handled personally by the master. Although the raw materials haven't changed, the person handling it has indeed changed. Li Jiran's hand paused slightly. You may leave. The butler left the room. Li Jiran looked at the incense still burning. She looked up and surveyed her bridal chamber for the first time. Even when she came back before, she mostly stayed in the guest room. The room had been meticulously tidied. There were no traces left of me living here. Entered the walk-in closet next to it. In the huge and exquisite walk-in closet, a few pieces of clothing hung sparsely. Her brow furrowed deeply. In the accessory storage cabinet, there were only a ring and a watch placed sparsely. The ring was the wedding ring, placed carefully in the center of the velvet box. The watch was given to me by my grandmother. She looked at the wardrobe beside her. In the semi-open wardrobe, there were a few shirts she often saw me wearing, and only 2 pairs of pajamas remained. Only now did she suddenly realize that she had never once cared about me. In the 2 years of marriage, she mostly saw me when she needed me to return to the ancestral home. I was lying in the bathtub taking a bath. The air was filled with streaks of fragrance. I thought of the agarwood scent on Li Jiran. When I first smelled it, I was captivated by that faint, steady woody scent. It stole some of my attention. I realized that it came from my own hands. Thinking back over the past 2 years, I really did care for Li Jiran, probably to stop me from returning to the gutter. When my sister occasionally mentioned the past, she looked frustrated that I wasn't living up to my potential. I gathered some of the past from her fragmented words. Most likely, I hid my identity and lived in poverty after marrying Li Jiran. My sister wanted to help me out, but I refused for fear of exposing my true status. Not only was I poor, but I probably took a lot of abuse. I finished my bath, dried my hair, and returned to the bedroom. My bedroom was connected to a small study. As soon as I stepped out, I heard music coming from the study. That was the alarm music I had set. I frowned and entered the study. A red alert box popped up on the computer. Someone was attempting to break through my data encryption system. I sat down at the computer. After typing rapidly on the keyboard for a while, I successfully entered the other party's backend. All my online information had been encrypted by me personally. The identity the other party tried to breach this time was that of Chu Nanzhou. I laughed out of sheer anger. Great, I can tell exactly who's behind this. Li Jiran hit a wall with Chu Nanzhou, and she's still not giving up. What does she want by finding out where I live? After counter-hacking into the other party's computer, I checked the network address. Li Group. I decided to give Li Jiran a warning. I found a photo of her during an interview online, edited it slightly and posted it on the Li Group's official website. After doing everything, I reinforced the firewall again and left the room contentedly. Once I crawled into bed, I picked up my phone and sent a message to Li Shan. For the sake of Hisuning, Li Jiran might continue to investigate me in the future, although it hasn't been breached yet, but I dare not underestimate the Li family's capability. Li Jiran's personal ability is also top-notch. I typed out a message to discuss something. What is it? Please go ahead, Brother Chu. Change the investor for Jiang Yuxing. What? Chu Nanzhou. Do you know how hard it is to find an investor? With your fame, shouldn't there be plenty of investors begging to give you money? This is a big production, with huge costs. Hardly any companies in the country dare to test the waters. It's fine. I'll be the investor. After a few seconds of silence, Li Shan sent a question mark. I confidently sent back a smiley face. I found an investor for you. The Li Group. Changing investors is a big deal. The contracts are already signed. We might even have to pay compensation. I told Li Shan that the Li Group would cover all losses. Then I sent Li Mayan's WeChat directly over before lying down to rest. Early the next morning, I was picked up from the bed by my own sister. You pushed my WeChat to Li Shan? Yeah. I told her to ask you to invest in my Jiang Yuxing. I looked at her with puppy eyes. Don't you want to invest in me? Li Mayan knows that Chu Nanzhou is actually me. Can you follow some proper procedure? This kind of investment should first be sent to the investment team for research, and then a senior executive is chosen for contact. You just pushed my WeChat over directly. I blinked my eyes. I thought just getting a bank account number would be enough. Li Mayan looked at her brother, and her anger gradually subsided. If you'd said earlier that I should invest, you wouldn't have listened. You insisted on finding that Li Shan, and then letting her find an investor. I acted spoiled with my sister. It's mainly because she approached the Li family, and the Li family wanted He Suning to star in it. I explained the whole process. I'm afraid Li Jiran will harass me again because of this. What if she finds out Chu Nanzhou is me? Who knows if she'll find our home? Upon hearing this, Li Mayan's face immediately darkened. She can dream on. I'll invest in this drama. I'll invest no matter how much it costs. Even if the money makes no splash, she absolutely cannot let that scum woman ruin her brother. Li Mayan left indignantly to go to the company for a meeting about investing in Zhang Yuxing. I regained my freedom. I took my phone and called Huananfeng. Nanfeng, let's get together at noon. On the other end, Huananfeng sounded miserable. I can't go out. My dad grounded me for a month. Why? He froze my card. I sold that purple clay teapot he bought in the capital. I remember that teapot was worth tens of millions. Honestly, you're really brave. Since Huananfeng couldn't come out, and I didn't have much to do lately, I took out Wan Fongluan and started reading. When it became afternoon, I got up and drove out. On the way back, I happened to pass by Qingda University. With nothing to do, calculating that Lu Zhaozhao's class was almost over, I simply drove to the front gate of Qingda, preparing to give her a ride to the Li house in a bit. Qingda's management is open, and the afternoon is a great time for strolling and dating. Students without classes were coming and going. I sat in the car, watching the guys and girls glancing over from time to time. My G-Wagon is considered low-key among the cars in the Li family, but in front of Qingda's gate, a car worth millions is quite eye-catching. Maybe another rich kid is here to pick up some girl. Some whispered discussions drifted over. I didn't roll down the window, a smile playing on my lips. My student life was very short. I finished all my college courses in just 1 year. Now, looking at these youthful, beaming faces, I still feel a bit envious. I took out my phone and was about to message Lu Zhaozhao when I received one from her first. I have something to do today. Can I take a day off? I started the car, intending to leave, when I saw a familiar figure walking out of the school gate. Lu Zhaozhao had a slender build, an aloof temperament, with a bluish-red mark on the corner of her mouth. My brow immediately furrowed. This is where the trouble is. I rolled down the car window a crack. 2 boys were following behind Lu Zhaozhao. They looked worried. You should probably go see the school doctor. Sigh, you're just too hot-tempered. Meng Wan was talking about that Li family's eldest son. Not you. Why did you fight her? Her sister is in the underworld. She definitely won't let you off. Lu Zhaozhao's face was grim as she ignored them. I picked up on some clues. I got out of the car and silently followed. Lu Zhaozhao hadn't gone far from the school gate. From behind a few nearby snack stalls, several young men stood up and surrounded her.